It's the Utah Jazz versus the San Antonio Spurs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. The Spurs 6-7 against the Utah Jazz 10-2. Ready for the opening tap. Here are the starting lineups. For Utah, they go with Malone, Russell, Ostertag, Hornacek, and Stockton in the backcourt. Hornacek was a question mark, but will start. Sore knees. Elliott, Duncan, Robinson, with Ellie and Johnson in the backcourt for the Spurs. Ready to go. Marquee names in this one. Robinson, Duncan, the best player, rookie player in the league last year. And, of course, you can't say Utah Jazz without thinking about John Stockton and Karl Malone together for their 15th season. Stockton sees the opening and has the game's first points. Oh, look at how quickly Malone got down court. For a big man, does he move? At 35, shows a move on Duncan. The mailman with his first delivery.
It's phenomenal that Karl Malone, who loves to finish left after he gives that little pump fake, they've really worked on this part of his game with Karl. Of course, it's all set up by the fact that he can make that perimeter jumper. But Karl Malone at 35, John Stockton at 37, they're playing better than ever. Now, granted, their numbers are down a little bit, Dick, but that's because their minutes are down as the bench production has really skyrocketed for the Utah Jazz.
Well, Stockton and Malone make the early statement and have the first 5 points for Utah. What's new?
I think you have to go right to Duncan early, see if Ostertag can play him.
And a good move with the left hand for Tim Duncan. It's 5-2.
As much for his shooting as for his firepower in terms of his emotional displays.
And they fight through the block by Ellie against Ostertag. And Ostertag with a little extra. Oops, that's going to cost somebody something. As Ostertag and Ellie, although he's not as big as 0-0 for Utah, he's not going to back away from anybody. Here steal by Ellie. Hornacek with a loose ball. Malone takes it to the hole. By Elliott. To Avery Johnson. Out of bounds to San Antonio. Oh, Jerry Sloan is ripping away at the officials. He doesn't like the start of the way this game's going for him, and Sloan picks up the technical foul. So it's heating up in 90 degrees San Antonio.
Has knocked San Antonio out of the playoffs the last few years. San Antonio wants to set a physical tempo earlier. Karl Malone disappointed that he didn't get a trip to the line. One of the leading free throw attempt shooters, Jerry Sloan, calling for the traveling violation on Avery Johnson. He gets a technical there. Karl Malone got a technical. So in the early moments,
Ostertag earlier, so 3 technicals against Utah in 5 minutes. And now Ellie with a drive. Keith bats it off the front of the rim, and Stockton on the 2-for-2 break. Hornacek takes it in. Nice move. The veteran Jeff Hornacek. It's
finding cutters. Beautiful pass.
Johnson inside, blocked by Ostertag. Duncan there to follow.
Didn't play the last game.
Malone open from 18. He'll take that one, cash it in. Rebound Keith.
The Jazz defense.
Malone beat the defense down court and gets 2 more and has 9 already.
Robinson. Dick, this is such a smart Utah team.
Hornacek using the glass, and it's 17-12. A run of 6 unanswered points by the Jazz for Hornacek, and a 20-second timeout called by Popovich on the. It's 17-14 Utah, 15 Utah. Quick answer at the other end for the Jazz as Hornacek connects again. He has 6.
That's the graphic you don't want to be a part of.
Malone over Rose, and Karl Malone in double figures, 11 for him, and Utah's lead is 6. And Jackson unable to hit. Battling is Rose, and Malone ties him up. The Jazz with a 10-0 run to open a 12-point lead here at the Alamo Dome. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Jazz shot 58%, only 32% for San Antonio. And the Utah Jazz continue their red-hot shooting. Shandon Anderson makes his first appearance of the game, and within seconds has two. Nicely to Malone. And Malone, is this a clinic? Is a sign?
Duncan and Robinson have not answered until here.
Duncan cuts the lead to 12 with his 7th point. And Shandon Anderson for Utah. Stockton pulls up, hits the 15-footer.
I will tell you, was not limping very heavily when he went into the locker room. Back to you guys.
Russell has it slapped away, but it goes right to Ostertag. His jump hook not there. Two more. Jazz hit the floor as Duncan, Johnson, Kerr. Steve Kerr, his first bucket, and it's 38-33. Right-hander, rebound Malone.
That's not Avery's shot. That 12-foot right-handed runner for a left-handed player, that's not going down very often.
Stockton can't find the opening inside, and they rotate to Hornacek. And Jeff Hornacek for two. And timeout is called by San Antonio. A full timeout with 4:17 left in the half. And the Utah Jazz, that was a three-pointer for Hornacek, build their lead back up to 11. Nice move by Duncan, but Ostertag, who is one of the leaders in block shots, picks it off. Malone sets up. Doesn't miss many of those, does he? Can't quite steal. Keefe regains. Hornacek with a runner. Oh, my. Hornacek, who has made some clever moves inside in this first half. He now has 13.
But that's his shot, though, Dick. This is something he works on. He has guys push him, and as he's working against the shot clock, throwing up these wild runners off their own foot.
Shorter, slower than the rest ever since he was a walk-on at Iowa State. Nice pick by Hornacek, and it's a free trip for John Stockton as Hornacek forcing the turnover, and he gets
on the exterior. The fans are always going to want more from Davis.
Stockton with a charge, and that'll be his third foul as he runs into Robinson, and Jerry Sloan is going to need to be strapped in. So that means Stockton will come out, and Isley returns.
That's a smile on Jerry Sloan's face. A little smirk there. He knows he can't afford to get another technical.
That all leads to an impressive half for the visitors from Salt Lake City. Utah 54, San Antonio 40. We'll be sending you to New York for the Prudential halftime report.
Momentum, so critical.
Standing around, 5 in, no one moving. David Robinson shoots. Stockton open underneath as he beat Avery Johnson.
They run that high UCLA shuffle cut to perfection. Physical fitness regimes that have taken over the health fad in our country. Oh, nice long pass.
And that sets up Russell for an easy two. 62-47.
Guys.
Duncan against Ostertag scores, and he continues to lead San Antonio. 17 for Tim Duncan.
Still firmly in control by Stockton and Malone.
Yeah, they need some stops at this end. Malone wide open. You heard the sound. 21 for the mailman. Johnson badgering Stockton.
That's got to be illegal defense.
6 on the clock. Stockton will shoot it.
The type of shots they get. They stick with their offense. They have selfless, willing passers and a great defense.
Stockton with Duncan. Russell. And fortunately for San Antonio, no foul on Duncan.
Utah has the best bench in basketball, along with the Indiana Pacers. When I look at this current lineup for San Antonio, where is the offense going to come from?
Oh, they're going to call that a block on Malik Rose, and that's got Popovich steaming. The officiating has not been very good in the eyes of the two coaches, and while Sloan seemed to be maddest of all in the first half, Popovich picks up 2 quick ones, and he has an early exit. The score, the Jazz 79, the Spurs 62. We'll return after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Guys, as a whole, they develop defenses against being the bully as Isley comes.
Because you're big for San Antonio.
Isley inside and hits the 10-footer. To Jackson. Rebound Ostertag. Stockton back in for Utah. The long feed to Malone. Oh, almost with their eyes closed. Almost with their eyes closed. They connect again. Comes Malone coming over to set the pick and then the roll. And there's Stockton to feed Malone. Hello. They've done it throughout their entire career under Jerry Sloan. Everyone knows they're going to do it. No one seems to be able to really stop it.
Well, with Karl Malone, nobody willing to. He just threw somebody out. Joey Crawford did.
Said, "You get out." Appears to be Mario Elie that got the thumb from Crawford.
You certainly hate.
And the steal by Jackson sets up Daniels. He handles the dribble this time. Antonio Daniels has 9. Olympic team plans to play again in Sydney in year 2000. Malone, just in case you'd forgotten, he was still a member of the Utah 5, connects. And the Jazz, of course, with the Bulls not what they once were, feel that this is their year. They've gotten to that final playoff game and a chance for the rings, and who's to say that they aren't as good as anyone? Are they the best team that you've seen?
They're the best team right now, and what makes them so special, while everybody's talking Los Angeles, what happens with the Lakers is that most opponents, as we look at Karl Malone, he is the key, because most opponents, they see Shaq and they just phone it in. They don't want any part of it. An acute case of Shaq-itis. Karl Malone looks at Shaq and says, "Hey, come catch some of this." They go right at Shaq. They attack him in his defensive weaknesses, his inability, his unwillingness to come away from the basket on the screen and roll. And Karl Malone can score in Shaq's face. And that's why Utah is so effective against the incredible array of talent that LA has. Now, though, the buzz, how is Dennis Rodman going to affect that whole mix? Plus, John Stockton, he has owned the Laker franchise since Magic Johnson retired. And I think you can make the case that Jerry Sloan is the best coach in today's NBA. They certainly have the best team.
Number 650 for Sloan as Utah leads early and never relinquishes. The Jazz 101, Spurs 87. We'll return to San Antonio. Don't wander off. You asked Karl Malone who the man is, and he said, you're looking at him right in the eyes. And look at Malone with 24 attempts. That was 1/3 the Utah total. He winds up with 30 the game high. Stockton off the bench. They were on the bench half the time, and he's enough to infuriate any coach, including Greg Popovich. It all spells 101-87 Utah. The triple-header continues from Los Angeles, Houston, and the Lakers. For Bill Walton, Paul Sunderland, this is Dick Enberg. So long from San Antonio.